What if Russia never sold Alaska? It's 2025. Tourists in fur-lined coats are sipping hot tea on the balcony of a seaside cafe in Novoarkhangelsk, gazing at the Pacific through a snowy fog. Nearby, the double-headed eagle glimmers faintly on the Port Authority building. Children slide down ice-slick hills, shouting in both Russian and English. This isn't a dream. It's a world where Alaska was never sold to the United States. Back in 1867, the Russian Empire was stretched thin, wars, debt, shifting politics. And so in our real timeline, Alaska was sold to America for $7.2 million, a price so low it sparked jokes about buying ice cubes. But what if Russia had hesitated? Perhaps out of pride, strategy, or sheer stubbornness? What if the deal never happened? At first, it wouldn't have seemed like a dramatic divergence. Russia's colony in Alaska was sparsely populated and costly to maintain. The fur trade was declining. But perhaps a single voice in the imperial court spoke just loudly enough. Let's keep it. Just in case. Over time, just in case turned into something much bigger. Instead of fading into irrelevance, Russian Alaska evolves. By the early 1900s, railroads linked coastal settlements to inland mining towns. Russian prospectors, joined by daring engineers and opportunists, uncover vast gold and copper deposits. The Tsar's interest is piqued. A special minister is appointed to oversee the northern jewel. Settlements grow. Russian Orthodox churches rise among spruce forests. Schools teach in Russian first, English second. Then the 20th century explodes into motion. World wars sweep across Europe and Asia, and geopolitics begin to twist. But Russian Alaska, rugged, cold, and increasingly industrialized, becomes more than a colony. It becomes a stronghold. When the Russian Revolution turns the empire upside down, many loyal to the old regime flee eastward. Some settle in Siberia, others cross the narrow Bering Strait to Alaska, where the imperial flag is still respected. In this alternate timeline, Alaska becomes a kind of exile's haven, a frozen Constantinople, a place where the echoes of empire still murmur faintly in the snow. During the Cold War, Russian Alaska becomes the strangest of front lines. Imagine a world where Soviet and American cities face each other not across oceans but across a narrow border. Anchorage becomes an American stronghold. Novoarkhangelsk, just a few hundred kilometers away, is home to massive radar installations and nuclear submarines nestled under the ice. Children on either side grow up hearing rumors about their neighbors, boogeymen and spies, depending on which side you ask, and yet life continues. Russian Alaska, though militarized, is also uniquely rich. Oil fields bloom in the 1960s. Instead of Exxon and BP, they're tapped by Rosneft and imperial remnants rebranded as Arctic Energia. Russian icebreakers patrol the coast, guiding trade ships as Arctic routes begin to thaw. Entire towns spring up around resource hubs, and all the while, Russian culture seeps deeper into the landscape. Signposts are bilingual. The architecture blends imperial classicism with Cold War brutalism, a strange, beautiful hybrid. What does this mean for the people who live there? That depends. The indigenous peoples, Inuit, Aleut, Tlingit, would have faced a different history, shaped by Moscow rather than Washington. Some would be sent to schools that taught Pushkin and Tolstoy. Others would resist Russification, preserving traditions in remote mountain villages. Over time, cultural synthesis might emerge. Russian epics retold with northern legends, balalaikas, and skin drums echoing in the same festival. But things wouldn't be perfect. Russian Alaska would still wrestle with remoteness, harsh weather, and the contradictions of being both a frontier and a bastion of power. It would be cold, proud, and strange. A place where families drink tea beside samovars while checking satellite signals from Moscow. Where children dream in both Russian and the languages of snow. And in our modern era, what would Russian Alaska look like today? It might be a semi-autonomous republic within a vast Russian federation, or perhaps something more independent. It would likely be wealthy thanks to oil and trade. Its cities would be hubs of science and naval power. Its people would be tough, multilingual, suspicious of outsiders, but fiercely proud of their northern identity. Western tourists would arrive, expecting Cold War relics and fur markets, and instead find thriving universities, avant-garde art exhibits, and bullet trains skimming over permafrost. The press might dub it the frozen Singapore, small in population, mighty in influence. And yet, even in this shining version, the past would hang in the air. In some neighborhoods, old imperial insignia would still be carved into stone buildings. Some children would recite poems from a time before revolutions, before satellites, before the world cracked open. And in the brief Alaskan summer when the sun barely sets and the air hums with a golden stillness, you might hear old men on benches say quietly, "We never sold it, and we never will." They would smile, not out of arrogance, but out of something else, something harder to describe. Pride, maybe, or the weight of a crown that never melted.